Species.
All right, Steve, we're back in the closet.
We're back in the closet, back where we started.
Back where we started. Yeah, it's interesting. I took a picture earlier of the closet, and I looked at my Instagram, and it was like August of 2018 when we started this thing.
Yeah.
In the closet. So we're almost coming up to 4 years. It kind of feels good to be back in here.
Yeah.
And by the way, this was Steve's idea. It was a good idea to do this.
Thank you.
Other than the fact that I spent a long time cleaning out this closet.
Well, you deserve credit for that.
Thank you. This closet is like a black hole where I can't tell you the amount of clothes that I've bought, put in the closet, forgot I had, and then later was like, I need a white shirt. So if you look up, I've got so many of pretty much the same shirt.
Yeah. My
weight also fluctuates. So it's like, I have a closet in here for a guy that's like 50 pounds lighter and a guy that's, 30 to 40 pounds heavier and everything in between.
You're prepared. If you need to change identities and lifestyles, you're ready. And I will tell you a good thing about keeping extra clothes like that. I made the mistake of finally doing a closet purge, which I had not done for years, and got rid of a ton of work clothes, especially since I was going to be only working a limited amount of remote days. Yep. And then unfortunately, as soon as I did that, I caused a change in work policy that changed my work days, basically doubled them. So I am at a point now that if I wear a shirt at work, I have to have a bib on because I'm going to end up wearing more than the same shirt multiple times a week. Yeah. And it's not a good look. Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. So let me just lay out what this episode is going to be today. We are going to do a couple of phrases. So let's see. Steve's going to do... Coming out of the closet. All right. Coming out of the closet, which is appropriate for obvious reasons. And then I will be doing It Ain't Over Till the Fat Lady Sings. So those are going to be fun to... classic idioms to finish things off. But first, we want to do... and Steve and I will talk about what is next for us individually. What we're going to be doing after this, with this being the last origin of Species in this form that it is now. Also, I was thinking today, I wish I'd have counted them up. We've done at least 500 words and phrases, which is wild. It is wild. So it's kind of fun to reflect on that. We're going to start, though, by saying some thank yous because we didn't want to leave that to the end when people are already bored and have logged off. We've had people that have been very helpful throughout this process. We've had a nice little community as well that has embraced the podcast, and it's been a real blast. Early on, we had, for example, Micah Lawn. Micah... came on the show a couple times, maybe 3 or 4 times altogether, and always found a way to make us just sound a little bit dumber. Not that that's tough, but he did a good job at it. That's right, a little extra. And of course, everyone who's participated in the Roadhouse episodes. So you got I won't list them all because we'd be here all night, but of course my boy Eric and who's so many? Yeah, there's so many, but I was trying to bring Bill Cannell. Also. Thank you. The reason I had a moment there because I didn't want to say his name wrong. Anna Brennan Jones, who did the podcast cover art. Thank you. You did a great job, and you talked me anyway out of a couple of really bad design ideas I had, and then went on to make podcast covers for pretty much everything we've done. So thank you. Thank you, Anna Brennan Jones. Yes. I want to thank Kelly Markey, who did the every time you hear Species, that's Kelly. And Kelly was a help back before this thing got started, and we didn't know what we were going to do. And actually, Kelly and I had talked about maybe doing a podcast, and she was instrumental in the beginning with helping me figure some stuff out. So thank you, Kelly. Speaking of Kellys, Kelly Watts. Number one, Kelly Watts. Kelly Watts, you have been, I will say, the ride or die for this show since day one, boo. Thank you for the support. We know you listen, you comment, you tell us, you give us feedback, you give us ideas for episodes, you represent the gear. We really appreciate you, Kelly. So thank you. Madeline, my sister,
McGinnis. That's how she goes. She Madeline Scott's sister McGinnis. Thank you for doing the cover art for our first meet episode. You did a great job on that. Some of my work people, Lincoln Branscombe, Heather Roosh, thank you for letting me bounce ideas off you and during work hours to make sure, these were good topics. And of course, Kat, 3 Sheets Girl, Lounsbury, just enough said, 3 Sheets Girl. If you don't know who 3 Sheets Girl is, you should. You should. Aaron Sorrow, thank you for everything. You came on the show and helped us test out a new segment, and have always been a good person to bounce things off of. Thank you, Aaron. Monica Escamilla. Thank you for the photos, and you were wonderful to work with.
Yep.
Thank you, Monica. Now I'm getting down to. I tell you what. Before I do my last few ones, Steve, why don't you give us a few?
So I want to thank some of our very long time and most generous Patreon supporters. Lauren Bingo Knowles, who many people don't know is actually related to Beyonce. So she's got that. Thank you. She has been a longtime supporter financially, but also just a good friend of the show, been on the show a few times, and just wonderful contributor. Aaron Constantino, one of my nephews, who has been a founder of this show and has supported us for a long time, and we appreciate that. Also, our good friend from home, Katrina Hall, who's also been a big contributor and supported us, a longtime friend outside of the podcast, and continues to do that. And we have a little bit of an overlap in the Venn diagram. Number 1, Kelly Watts. She's number 1, Kelly Watts, for a reason. So she has also been a very huge contributor to the show, and we just want to thank her very much. And one last thank you. It's a little bit of an odd one, but something spurred me to think of this today. Was MC Search. MC Search turned us on to StreamYard, which is what we use for our video episodes. We'd been doing Zoom. Was it Zoom or was it Skype?
We were doing Skype.
And he said, no, use this.
Game
and
changer. Changed
our lives. So thank you, MC Search, for the music, for the hair inspiration, and also for StreamYard.
Yeah, and for being a great guest, which brings me to sort of my final ones. All of our guests that came on were awesome. I think there are a few that stood out. MC Search was honestly one of the best. That was so fun. And I wanted to also mention Mike Boudet, who was awesome on the show and has just been like such a supporter, and it's really appreciated. And Adrian Appalucci, who came on twice and was brought it both times. And then lastly, I do want to thank some of our inspirations and also the places that we've gone over the years to do the research. So first and foremost, Barry Popick. If you listen to the show at all, we love Barry and we love the Popick passion, and we mispronounced his name for 3 seasons, or at least I did. And then Michael Quinion, or Quinion, and I'm sure I'm saying it wrong still. Man, I'm such a fan. Like, we've done this for 4 years. I always go and look at to see if he has an entry. He writes so well and was such an enormous resource for the show. And of course, Phrase Finder, or phrases.org.uk. Want to give them credit because, again, just a resource that was always there. And then last but not least, I do want to thank Steve. Steve, thank you for being my partner through this, man. This has been awesome. I initially didn't know if this was going to be a one-person show, and then we're talking things out, and we realized, hey, you could do it if you want to, if you want to spend the time. I didn't think you'd want to do it, but I was thinking earlier today how, I don't think this show probably would have gone more than maybe like 10 episodes, because pod fade is a real thing, and you kept things going through a lot of times where I probably would have been like, let's take a break, or let's do this or that or the other. I think the two of us together really created and I'm really proud of the fact we never missed a week, if that makes sense. We charted our course, and we did what we said we were going to do. Yeah. We treated it like a fun job, but kind of a job. And a lot of that, I'd say 95% of that has to do with you, but also what you have brought to the show, the humor, that would have been sorely lacking, just the vibe itself, the social media work you've done, booking all the guests. I mean, as time went on, you just shouldered more and more of the load. So thank you for that. And this wouldn't have been the same without you. So
well, thank you.
Thanks,
and you're very welcome. And I accordingly want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to even try this. There's no way I would have done this on my own or thought about this. And you gave me an opportunity to come out, and you've helped me grow from being someone who we had to re-record our second episode because it mentioned slavery, to now we're going to talk about coming out of the closet here in just a few minutes. So thank you for the opportunity for giving me a chance to do that.
Yep, absolutely. Well, all right. I guess, are we ready now? Did we get... Oh, I know what we need to talk about. What is next? Let's talk about what's next. So... Steve, well, let me just say, I'll talk about myself for a minute first. If you twisted my arm. No,
sure.
Right now, I don't know what's next for me as far as a project. I've got a couple of ideas. As some of you know, I had another show called Personal Records, which may come back in some form. And I've had some other project ideas, but I'll definitely be taking a little break, overall from podcasting. But as Steve knows, and as some of you guys know, a week from now, something could pop up and I go, oh, I got a new podcast out. Sometimes I can be impulsive like that. But yeah, I don't have any concrete plans to tell you about, but I am very excited about where Steve's going with things. And I don't know how much he's going to share tonight, so I'm not going to say anything. Sure. I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and you tell everybody what you're up to.
Well, Scott has been very gracious. And as you know, Scott was the originator of Origin of Species. And Scott is... blessed me to continue the Species name, and I'm going to return in the fall with a solo podcast, the Species Show. Still going to do words and phrases, but I've workshopped through some things and talked to Scott about it, but it's going to be a little bit more deranged is kind of the plan I have for it. But thank you to Scott for letting me continue to use the name and keep the brand going, and Scott will be around. I hope so. And if not around on the show, he will be behind the scenes. And Scott, just to let you know, if for some reason this show is a great success, you certainly deserve credit for it. And more importantly, if it's a huge failure, you also deserve credit for that.
Absolutely.
So check the feed and our socials. Look for the Species Show coming this fall.
For the record, I am, even though I'm not going to be technically a part of Species, this is something I'm excited about, and Steve and I have talked about a lot, and has my full endorsement, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm sure I'll pop up. And Steve and I are going to have to find something else to talk about every day, by the way. But we'll probably just still talk about
we'll probably still talk about this.
So yeah, please stay subscribed to the feed. I probably should have said that like as the first thing.
That's
but
okay.
Stay subscribed to the feed. And I was going to thank everybody that subscribed because I asked them to. Random people in bars, Uber drivers, just random people I met, coworkers. Thank you for liking and subscribing and everything I asked you to do. All right, I think now that we've gotten a lot of that out of the way, and we might still do some reminiscing on the way here.
Oh yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and Steve, if you want to talk about your word or phrase that you brought today.
So my phrase is coming out, as in coming out of the closet. And this started originally as we were wrapping up our last few episodes. I thought, since we initially started recording in the closet, let's end with in the closet.
Perfect idea.
So I started searching that phrase, and came, as I researched that, I found the inverse is most of the time how it's referenced. In the closet is not what people talk about as much more now about coming out of the closet.
Which, by the way, before we get into out of the closet, since it's not going to be in the closet.
Yeah.
When I hear in the closet, I think of R. Kelly and that thing that is hard to believe that actually existed.
Right.
That song he did, or it was like a play or something.
It was like a mini series with music videos.
But it's hard to believe it's real. Yeah. When you go back, I was listening to some podcast and they went back and they played it, and he's talking about being predatory, like it's almost like he's daring people to actually listen to his lyrics. It's pretty scary and gross. But then I think about someone with no controversy, which is Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Keep it in the closet. So,
which is actually, I was thinking about that the other day, and I think it's like in my mind, the last good Michael Jackson song. It's a pretty good song.
I definitely like this song, and I'm trying to think if I can think of anything after that, because that Was that on the same album? No, that came after like Remember the Time and all that, right? Yeah. Anyway,
it all becomes a blur, like the skin on his face. It just all kind of melds together.
Yeah.
After a while.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's a good idea. We're moving out of the closet, not keeping it in the closet with R. Kelly and Michael.
So first is spend a little time in the closet. So the roots of the in the closet aspect come from the idea of skeletons in the closet.
Oh.
And that, somebody, had things in the past that you wouldn't want to have everyone know about.
Right.
And, from the time, the very recent past where homosexuality was not accepted socially, and people would keep their sexuality in the closet.
Yeah, you'd be a confirmed bachelor. That's my favorite.
That was a good one. Or you'd have a roommate, or you would be someone's weird uncle.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that's how my nephews describe me. But let's move on.
There's nothing gay about what's happening right now.
No, not at all.
And for the record, Steve is wearing a bandana, even though we're not on camera, which.
I had to put it's my Batman mask, and maybe that's a little bit similar to this. So the idea of things being in the closet were people keeping things you didn't want people to know, and for a very long time, if your sexual preferences were not heterosexual, you did that. Yeah. But that changed. Started in the 1970s with the gay rights movement, but really sprung into prominence now that people, I think, use the term coming out a lot about different things, not just sexuality, but whatever it is.
I'm coming out as a this or that, or...
Well, revealing yourself of if I have a political opinion that's not popular.
Yeah.
Or if I have one that's very popular, like Kanye West had the presidency stolen from him in 2020, or Kale's from the devil.
Yeah.
So, going to the roots of what coming out means, going to a Time magazine article, the history behind why we say a person came out of the closet. If you do some research on this, you're going to see fairly frequently the same definition come up in a book referenced, Gay New York, Gender, Urban Culture, and the Making of the Gay Male World by historian George Chauncey. So over and over again, you're going to see this. So quoting from here, or paraphrasing from here, the term coming out originally didn't mean people coming out of the closet to everybody, but coming out to other gay people.
Oh, okay.
So the idea would be that you would do something to introduce yourself to other people who had your same preference. And the idea was kind of taken from debutante balls. That, there used to be, I've heard of, I guess it really exists. We did not grow up in a debutante ball society.
There's probably a Chick-fil-A debutante ball that you're probably invited to.
I'm probably going to be invited to that. So that's something that, you would introduce yourself to the gay culture. And they, the first use of this comes out, Mr. Chauncey finds this back from an article from 1931 in the Baltimore Afro-American. And I'm quoting here, "The coming out of new debutantes into homosexual society was an outstanding feature of Baltimore's 8th annual Frolic of the Pansies."
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, I'm not sure if Frolic of the Pansies is like a parade with pansies, or if that's some sort of euphemism. I'm just quoting here. Yeah. I wouldn't find it as something that has been consistent for 150 episodes. I live my life, #pride. And I'm glad we're doing coming out in May. We're not waiting for June.
That's true.
Like everyone else. Like when Bud Light paints up their beer bottles for 30 days.
Yeah.
We're #pride all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, coming out...
Frolic and the Pansies.
Frolic of the Pansies.
Oh, Frolic of the Pansies.
Yes.
Okay.
So, even though that's a use of it, the idea of the closet specifically, people aren't sure exactly where that came from.
Yeah.
And from what I've put together, it just it's a logical conflation of if you're coming out of something combined with skeletons in the closet, keeping something that that generally is not accepted in the closet. That's how that all comes together.
Can I take us down a gay little rabbit hole for a second?
I hope you do.
Okay, so I didn't know that we were going to be... I guess I should have figured out that during coming out of the closet, we might talk about gay people. So, how do I frame that? I guess I'm gonna ask you first to see if you can guess. There was I was listening to Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew the other day, and the name of the episode was "The Gayest Man Alive," And I was like, I wonder who this is going to be about. And then they end up talking about a certain person for quite a while and playing some clips and made me think of you.
Okay.
But there's a reason. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
If you think of the gayest man alive, and it's somebody that you actually introduced me and a lot of other people to.
Okay.
Back in the early 2000s. Any names? This is going to be hard. I can give you a hint if you need a hint, but I want to see if you know who I'm talking about.
I introduced you to someone who's known as the gayest man alive.
Yep.
I have to say I'm stumped and I'm surprised. And which was also the original premise of the show, was to see if you could stump me, and you've brought it back into the closet. When I think of someone who is the gayest man alive,
he is still alive.
He's still alive. Okay.
I haven't heard much from him in a while, though.
Okay. Now, that was what you, that tripped me off. I was going to say Liberace, but you said he was still alive, so it must be Richard Simmons.
Nope. This guy is seemingly gayer than even Richard Simmons. And he had a couple shows. He had one TV show. I'm just going to tell you now. And by the way, I did think about it. I was like, should I put Steve on the spot? And I was like, you know what? We're in the closet. It feels right.
Can I take a second guess?
Take a second guess.
Christopher Lowell.
Christopher Lowell.
Yeah. Christopher Lowell, whatever happened to him?
Well, couple things, okay? First of all, we may go old school. I may have to splice in a clip here of Christopher Lowell, or you can just Google it yourself if you didn't just hear a clip.
He was a really big designer on, I think, the early HGTV shows.
Yeah.
And, late 90s, early 2000s. And he was really good. He had really good ideas, but he just, disappeared one day.
So couple things here. So they were talking about Christopher Lowell. They were playing these clips, and it reminded me. And so the story, the reason they brought it up was one time Adam and Drew were doing a show out of town, and they were in a hotel room. And Drew brought up the story because he goes, the only time you picked up the phone and you started screaming to come into my room now because the gayest guy in the world is on TV. And it was Christopher Lowell.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lowell, I'd never seen anyone quite so, what's the word? Not emphatically gay, but very, what's that word? Oh, come on. This is a word and phrases show. I can't think of it, but it'll pop into my head. Flamboyantly gay as Christopher Lowell. But what happened to him? Well, first of all, there's some controversy, which is that he actually is not gay.
Really?
I have not fact checked that.
Okay.
We should look it up, but that's what on the show they said. It turned out he was not gay, which may be why he disappeared as well.
Because that would be he was he was almost like a gay guy in an 80s movie. Like that sort of over the top.
He was more gay than a gay guy. Right. It was like, I don't know if you've ever heard anybody say that, do you know what Patrick Swayze's brother looks like? Can you picture him?
A little bit.
He looks more like Patrick Swayze than Patrick Swayze. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like Christopher Lowell is more gay than a gay person would be. So in a way you're like, oh, maybe he was putting on an act. However, in my heart, I partially didn't look it up because I don't want to believe that.
Your hashtag pride too. We don't want to see that broken.
I'm gonna believe that he was gay. Although now that I think about it, did he ever say he was? I don't think he came out and was like. I mean, we just assumed. So maybe it's on us if he isn't.
Maybe he's really just pointing it back at us. Maybe we should wait to release this in June so we could all learn a lesson.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Christopher Lowell, the gayest man alive, who may or may not be gay. And may or may not have come out of the closet, but good job. I get to almost stump you, and you got it. I'm so glad you got it. And thank you for introducing me to Christopher Lowell.
You're welcome. And you're still trying to figure out what you're going to do, and you do have a new bleached anus, so there is a chance for you to go out there and put those things to work.
Oh my gosh. They did have that Richard Simmons podcast that was a phenomenon. I'm going to do Finding Christopher Lowell. Don't think I won't. I would do that,
You're
man.
saying this like it's not a good idea. It's a great idea.
I feel like there would be so many twists and turns. All right. I think that's the end of my gay rabbit hole. Do you have any gay rabbit holes or anything else you want to talk about, Steve, with this? Or
So coming out of the closet pretty much sounds like, what it is, introducing yourself to the world. And now I think it more means when people officially declare to maybe their family or other people that they have officially taken this status. But the origin of it traces back more, not necessarily to a closet, but actual debutante balls where people would introduce themselves to the gay community.
Well, there you go. All right. I'm going to take us now to our next phrase, which is It ain't over till the fat lady sings. And there are some variations on that one, but everyone's heard this one. I'm going to be using, as usual, Phrase Finder and Worldwide Words, pretty much for everything I'm about to go over. But this is one that, let's talk about what it means. What does it mean? Nothing is irreversible until the final act is played out.
Right.
And it's a good one, It's I think of sports, sports commentators, which we'll talk about a little bit. For some reason, I don't know why, I think of Miss Piggy, and I don't know. You're the Muppets guy. I'm not really a Muppets guy, but I feel like there's some joke or there was some show that Kermit or somebody. But whenever I hear it ain't over till a fat lady sings, I kind of picture Miss Piggy. Sorry, Miss Piggy, you're beautiful, but
I think that's every Muppet show. There's a joke about her being fat, which is pretty good. Which actually reminds me of something I thought the other day. You've provoked a thing. So I've started watching with my daughter the television show Different Strokes, which if you're of a certain age, you definitely know.
Every day after school, we watch.
Yeah, we watched it, and I have not watched in forever. And I have to say, in certain ways, it hasn't aged well. It is a very, very 80s sitcom where some horrible thing will be wrapped up within 22 minutes.
Right.
And to the point where my daughter's like, why isn't the kid getting in trouble for what he just did? I'm like, well, the show has to end right now, so they have to do that. Also, Gary Coleman, and I mean this without any irony, was an incredible actor and performer.
Yeah.
You should...
I need to go back and watch.
You should.
I remember how dynamic he was, and I remember being glued to the screen watching him, but I need to go back and watch.
God bless his soul, rest him wherever he is. But as not just because of his size, his diminutive size, he was incredible. I mean, it's not Shakespeare, but what he does, he drives these shows, and he is a gravity. You are drawn to him every time he opens his mouth. You want to see what he has to say.
And I mean, I know that like Jimmy J.J. Walker and Dynamite came well before, but for me anyway, this was the show. This was maybe the first real catchphrase that I would just wait for. When's he going to say what you talking about, Willis?
And he nails it.
Oh my gosh.
He does it. It's watching Eddie Van Halen do a guitar solo. I mean, I highly encourage people to watch it, not for giggly, ironic ways. Watch Gary Coleman. Yeah. God rest him. But one of the things that reminded me of was a trope that you don't see anymore. And you mentioning Miss Piggy and fat remind me of was having a fat kid whose name said he was fat. And I think the kid's name was actually, it's not McGee, but the first part, it was Fatty Watkins. And Arnold is having a party, and he's worried that Fatty Watkins is going to eat all his cake. And which meant, and you see Fatty Watkins, and he's fat, which meant that somebody's parents said, Junior, you're going to be a star.
Yes.
And look, there's a roll call for a fat kid. Yeah. And that went through the casting directors in the 80s, which I'm sure they still do this, but not as brazen as they used to be. You know, there's a lot of diversity now, but not as much. Right. I think we really need a fat kid to make fun of him, and his name will be Fatty.
Yeah, Fatty. That's
in
amazing.
The show.
Or hey, we're casting for Fred Rerun Barry. Now, here's the deal. You got to be really fat.
Yeah. Let me tell you who I got here. And shout out to What's Happening, because they also had Shirley Hemphill.
Yep.
Was a full-figured woman who also made many appearances on The Love Boat, where I'm going to tangent a little bit more here of when
we're in the closet.
You could always tell when you would see a black guest star on The Love Boat, you knew who her boyfriend was going to be. There wasn't much of a choice. You know that Isaac was going to be having.
Isaac will get a shot at it every once in a while, but actually,
even when it was Shirley Hemphill.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I've never seen an episode, but I've heard so many episodes broken down by you, mostly you, but also by Adam Carolla. He talks about it almost every day, and how Isaac, when he finally did have a girl, they couldn't even kiss. They'd be looking over the railing, which is normally when the kiss happens, apparently. But I think they got a hug in, so that didn't age well. But also with What's Happening, one of the greatest catchphrases of all time too, with "Hey, hey, hey." I mean, that came before, I guess, Different Strokes as well.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that we're doing our last episode and we're talking about gay people and fat people. I don't know. And we're in the closet together. I'm fat. You've got a bandana on for no apparent reason.
But just remember,
life imitates art.
That's right. But I just make sure you remember the Species Show will continue. So my goal is to keep you from dropping any N-bombs, frankly. We can keep talking about all this other stuff, but just keep that one.
Yeah.
Keep that in your back pocket for your next show.
I did have the idea on the last show. Let's just do. I won't even say what letter they begin with, but the two real worst words that aren't moist.
Yeah.
And then we realized that'd probably be a bad idea for many reasons. So I was going to ask you what you think about when the fat lady sings, but I don't know.
Well, ask me.
So what do you think about? I think about Miss Piggy. Do you have a visual that you
have? I do. I have the visual of a large German woman, and it's I think it's Brunhilde from Wagner's the Ring Cycle. I forget which one. Maybe
the last one.
Yeah, the last. yeah. Well, of course, it makes sense. The final ring. So that's what I always think of.
Good. Well, then good for you. You think of the actual origin because that's probably the actual origin. But there are two. So there are two camps here of this is going to be one where we're going to end this kind of like you didn't go. With yours too, and go, well, nobody knows really the first time it was said, but we'll see how it got popularized and the two sort of camps of where the phrase came from, and they are, and I'm so glad that we can bring back Germany because it's German opera or American sport, okay, as I think that's how Phrase Finder put it.
Yeah.
Now and by the way, it's not Yogi Berra. Man, it's interesting how many people think Yogi Berra started this, but he did "It Ain't Over Till It's Over." And there are a lot of things that apparently Yogi Berra said that were attributed to him that maybe weren't true. And actually, you've gone through this before. I think we did another one, and you talked about it. I don't remember which one it was, but anyway, it's also not singer Katie Smith who sang "God Bless America" at Flyers games.
Right.
There's a contingent that said that she started it because she was a large lady. And they had a lot of good luck with her in the playoffs. And then she started singing at more games. And then they played her song, God Bless America, at Philadelphia Flyers games up until a few months ago. You don't want to know why?
Please share. And I do know why.
Racist.
Yep. She one time sang a minstrel song.
In 1930, she sang two songs, which on the face... you're like, oh, well, but in 1930, I'm not going to sit here, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and defend Katie Smith because she may have been a raging racist. Who knows? But just read the articles. It seems like maybe not. But whatever. Let's we got to err on the side of.
Well, when in doubt,
we stand against racist.
Everything's racist. So they should probably just ban everybody. Shouldn't have any songs anywhere.
Anybody that said anything in 1930, that's for sure. So. It's not her, and the main reason we know it's not her, even though she preceded some of this other stuff I'm about to bring up, is that she sang before the game. It doesn't really make sense. The only thing going for this one is that she was fat, and she was a lady, and she did sing at a sporting event. So let's actually start with the German opera piece, and really you already did it. So the musical connection with it would be the operatic role of Brunhilde in Wagner's Götterdämmerung, the last of the immensely long 4-opera ring cycle. And Brunhilde is usually depicted as a well-upholstered lady. I love how they put that. Well-upholstered. Nice. Never heard that one. This is Phrase Finder. Who appears for a 10-minute solo, a 10-minute solo to conclude the proceedings. Now, this makes a lot of sense, okay? Because, quote, when the fat lady sings is a reasonable answer to the question, when will this be over? Because guess how long this bad boy was? The ring cycle performances, which would be played, I guess there were intermissions, but but do you want to make a guess at how long it is?
Is my memory correct? Is it several days?
No, it's 14 hours.
Okay,
which is a long time too, and you could see. I know I went to the opera one time in my life, and it was Othello, which it's kind of, I like Othello, okay. But I left at the intermission because I was like, nah, I'm good. I can't imagine being in a 14-hour opera, and I would be like, when is this over? It ain't over till the fat lady sings. Now, according to Worldwide Words, there's no connection other than that to that being where it started. So it could be one of those things where you look back and you go, well, this makes total sense. It's a super long ass opera that ended with a fat lady singing. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it really could be. But let's talk about what the other potential could be. So we said German opera and then American sports. So it has been suggested that it was the brainchild of the San Antonio TV sports editor Dan Cook, who famously used it during a television basketball game in May of 1978. Now, Cook was, however, preceded by U.S. sports presenter Ralph Carpenter in a broadcast reported in the Dallas Morning News, March of 1976. So in 1976, Bill Morgan, who was one of the commentators or presenters, said, "Hey, Ralph, this is going to be a tight one after all." And Ralph Carpenter said, "Right, the opera ain't over till the fat lady sings." And then there are anecdotes of like the booth breaking up, like that was the funniest thing that was ever said. And it really caught on because this was like a big game that a lot of people were watching. And there's no doubt that both of those, but probably I think the second one, which was the Dan Cook one in 1978, was the one that really popularized it and people started saying it. But according to both, everywhere I looked, but Worldwide Words and Phrase Finder, both of these seem like they're not the origin, just ways to popularize the phrase. Because, and I honestly, in all the shows we've done, I only remember this once, and I don't remember what the term was. But every once in a while, I mean, maybe once or twice, you get this where the people have been saying, especially in the South, have been saying this forever. And nobody knows where it came from. Right. So if you say, well, it came from Wagner, if you say it came from 1976, people are like, this has been going on. We've been saying this in different versions forever. There was a book written in 1976 by Fabia Rue Smith and Charles Rayford Smith entitled Southern Words and Sayings. Ralph Keyes wrote a book with the title Nice Guys Finished Seventh in 1992, which he says that several informants recalled hearing the expression for decades before it suddenly became nationally known in the 70s. By the way, the way that it has been used also is it ain't over till the fat lady sings, the opera isn't over until the fat lady sings, or church ain't out till the fat lady sings. Those are the way that they've been said. And the church ain't out thing, I'm like, how long, you and I both sat in a lot of long church services that do end with music. Yeah. I don't know if they had to be fat.
But those Pentecostals can keep going. Just because they're on that last verse doesn't mean you're not going to hear it 74 times, but who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the use of church there does suggest that its origin doesn't lie with sports or opera, that it really is maybe just a Southern saying that you can't really pinpoint anywhere. But we got to say it one last time. It's fun to say.
It is.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings. It's fun to say, and I think that's all we really need to say about it.
Yeah.
I thought before we wrap, we're not going to wrap. I mean, wrap up the show. That would be a way to go out.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a good fat singer to end the show with appropriately. And the first ones that came to mind were Meatloaf, dead, unfortunately, and also not a female. Luther Vandross, fat guy. Yeah. Great singer. Old Elvis.
Fat Elvis, which is actually my favorite Elvis.
Me too.
I really like kind of tacky right before he killed over Elvis.
Totally agree. Love old Elvis. Love fat Elvis. Adele, I don't think is fat anymore.
No.
So I don't think we could technically use her. I was thinking the next one I thought of was Aretha Franklin, and Aretha Franklin, maybe one of the best artists ever.
Yeah.
Right in the Mount Rushmore. She wasn't always fat. She was fat for quite some time. Yeah. So I think maybe she might be what we go out on. But I don't know, Steve, can you think of any fat singers that would be appropriate to end the show with?
Well, I think about Meatloaf often. So, I mean, fat singers are, regardless of what he is, especially during summertime, highly, again, recommend Bat Out of Hell, first album. during a good kind of buzz driving, windows down thing. Don't drink and drive unless you're listening to Meatloaf, and then it's okay.
Yeah,
just tell the
cops. Yeah,
tell the cops that.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of Mama Cass because she was like kind of legendary for being heavy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I think of that, something had prompted me the other day just to imagine all the music stars of the 1970s, if they existed in today's media, how just generally unattractive people were, but extremely talented. And, does it really matter if somebody's singing? So I felt like I accidentally virtue signaled there, but I didn't mean to.
Well, I mean, we like music. You want to get the best music, not the best polished package.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Mama Cass is a good one, and I think about Mama Cass a lot. Mm-hmm. Like you think about Meatloaf a lot. But I'll tell you, it's not a good reason. It's every time I start choking on food.
Yeah.
As a big boy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to die like Mama Cass, who I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But supposedly. Died eating a ham sandwich.
And we've done our share to 50 years after she's passed to keep that urban legend going.
I know we're supposed to debunk stuff. But the thing is, man, I've had a couple moments of this might be it for you. This might be it for your boy. Not maybe a ham sandwich, but definitely eating something because I like to eat. And all of a sudden I go, my kids are gonna have to know that their dad died eating, a piece of pork tenderloin or whatever. Yeah. So,
well, at least it's decent food that you grilled. It's not like they're going to find you with a box of tuna helper next to your body. So it could be worse. That would
be the worst way to go.
I think that is the worst way to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's almost time for the fat lady to sing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You got any final thoughts? I guess.
This has been a fun ride. 150 episodes. You and I have tried to do things together over the years and frankly never really stuck with anything. So 150 episodes is awesome. I've enjoyed the time we've had together. I've enjoyed all the people we've got to meet and talk to, whether on social media or in interviews or just walking around. And I want to thank you again for the opportunity to let me come out of the closet and learn how to do something I never would have done. And, thanks for the memories. And, 150 episodes, the Species Show will continue. The name will go on. And, you never know what possibilities lay ahead of us, especially with a bleached anus.
Yes. Thank you. Also, like I said before, Steve, this has been a blast. Thank you for everybody that has listened.
Yeah.
You rule. So I will just end it by saying, as always, Bob's your uncle. And that's what I'm talking about.
Watch out for bears and kale is from the devil.
It's bad bitch o'clock. Yeah, it's thick 30. I've been through a lot, but I'm still flirty. Is everybody back up in the building? It's been a minute, tell me how you're healing. Cause I'm about to get into my feelings. How you feeling? How you feel right now? Oh, I've been so down and under pressure. I'm way too fine to be this stressed, yeah. Oh, I'm not the girl I was or used to be. Bitch, I might be better. Turn up the music. Turn down the lights. I got a feeling I'm gonna be alright, okay. Alright. It's about damn time. Turn up the music. Let's celebrate.
Species.
But I, through this study, found a new, I'd say, personal enema. Oh my gosh, I gotta start setting these words out that have less syllables. Through my journey, through the history of hysteria, I have a new personal etymological. Nope, put a K in there.
What are you saying?
Trying to say etymological.
Etymological?
Yeah, that's not a word.
Well, no, it is, but you're saying like a hero?
Yeah.
I just say etymology hero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I can't speak.
Well, I can't say that either. So
all right, I'm gonna try one more time. To meet MC Search later here in our episode.
Yeah, it's worth shit. Never mind.
It's okay. Can I take a minute to take a second?
Yeah. Let's
So for our phrase tonight, I'm gonna focus tonight on. I just said tonight twice. Or too much for. I got bigger problems.
Right.
All right. I need a moment to.
I had to clear myself like 5 minutes. Dude, we're flowing. This is great.
Than it was. Even with never mind. I thought I was going to say something funny. Then nothing came out.
Happens.
So, going to project morning zoo style. The moderate morning zoo. Yeah. Get that out of the system.
Yes, it was a huge honor. It is a huge honor.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a lot of great feedback. People giving us virtual slaps on the back. Yeah, I heard that too. What was that? Did you hear a noise?
I don't know.
But you heard something, right?
I did hear something.
Okay.
It sounds like something like an axe or a butcher's knife would be involved.
Oh, you know what it is?
Weird.
It's the cat.
Okay.
She's scrambling on the hardwood. But yeah, let me just do that part. That my little part again.
So, in summary of Pop Goes the Weasel, let me review my notes.
Let me clear my throat one more time.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I need to restate. Correct word. It's actually hysteriox. Fuck that up too.
Sorry, take your time. We got plenty of time. This is great.
One of his books was I have all these words that I don't know how to fucking spell.
Dude, it's a lot. I know.
Aetiology. Etiology. I'm going with that.
Yeah. To top it all off, we're going to do some Know Your Onions with Brandon ML. So, Brandon.
Nick.
How are you? All right, let me do that again. Sorry. Brandon's the hot dog guy. Yeah, and so I son of a... let me do it.
Sorry. Let me just get it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think I checked my own prostate on that one. Hold on.
Hello, Patreon.
Gosh. Okay.
So... sorry. Gosh.
Should have had that hot dog.
I know.
Internet dating slang terms you shouldn't... I can't read. All right.
Criminal Minds was canceled, but sometimes it takes... So, Steve, tell us about what we're going to be talking about.
We are going to talk about another fun subject, one of my favorite subjects. I guess I should know what the I'm talking about. Before I open my mouth.
That's how I feel, too.
Yeah.
I know.
Let me think. That's the one thing. I've got like 24 pages of stuff, but what the am I talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah. Had a good time. He told us we were, and we did.
Absolutely. So... I have nothing else to say.
To have the fun continue, many ways you can.
No,
all right.
I'm glad. This makes me feel better that you've had this.
I got it now. To keep the good times going, you can follow Species. All right, give me just 1 minute. I'm going to get this focused. I'm going to do it. Okay.
This is gold.
Fusajiro Yamamuchi. Nope, I f***ed it up. I'm not going to say it again.
Yeah,
I'm just going to leave it. So. In 1899, okay, 1 second. Sorry, Scott. And the picture is called.
This is good stuff for Patreon.
Thank you.
Ja, das ist ein ganz kleines Liedchen von Puccini. Man nennt das Liedchen. Aber das ist wirklich von Gianni Schicchi. Und das ist ganz. Moment! Das ist ja ganz kurz, weil es muss so sein jetzt.
The